Deep in the jungles of Central America, hidden beneath thick vines and towering trees, stood cities of stone that touched the sky, pyramids aligned with the stars, kings who spoke to the gods, a calendar more precise than medieval Europe. And then, they vanished. No massive invasion, no single final battle, just silence. This is the story of one of the most mysterious civilizations in human history, the Maya, rebuilt brick by brick, long before Columbus crossed the Atlantic, long before Rome reached its peak. In the tropical lowlands of present-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras, a remarkable civilization was already rising. The Maya did not build a single empire ruled by one king. Instead, they developed powerful independent city-states, each with its own ruler, army, and identity. Their story begins around 2000 BC, when early farming communities began cultivating maize, corn, the foundation of Mayan life. Corn was not just food, it was sacred. According to Mayan mythology, humanity itself was created from maize by the gods. Agriculture allowed villages to grow into cities. By 250 AD, during what historians call the Classic Period, the Maya entered a golden age. Massive stone pyramids rose above the jungle canopy. Cities like Tikal, Calakmul, Palenque, and Copan became centers of power, science, and religion. These were not primitive settlements. They were complex urban centers with plazas, ball courts, temples, palaces, and astronomical observatories. The Maya were master architects. Without metal tools or beasts of burden, they carved limestone blocks and constructed towering stepped pyramids aligned with celestial movements. Astronomy was central to Mayan life. Priests tracked the cycles of the sun, moon, Venus, and other celestial bodies with astonishing accuracy. Their calendar systems, including the Tzolk'in and the Hab, were among the most precise in the ancient world. They developed a sophisticated writing system using hieroglyphs, recording royal lineages, wars, rituals, and cosmic events on carved stelae and codices. Unlike many civilizations that left mysteries behind, the Maya left written records, though many were destroyed centuries later. Power in Mayan cities revolved around divine kingship. Rulers were believed to communicate directly with the gods. They performed bloodletting rituals, offering their own blood to sustain cosmic balance. Religion shaped every aspect of society. The universe, in Mayan belief, was layered. The heavens above, the earthly realm, and the underworld known as Xibalba. Pyramids symbolized sacred mountains connecting these realms. Beneath the grandeur, society was structured and organized. Nobles governed. Priests interpreted the cosmos. Warriors defended the city. Farmers sustained the population. Trade networks extended across Mesoamerica, exchanging jade, obsidian, cacao, and textiles. Cacao beans even functioned as currency. The Maya were mathematicians as well. They developed a base 20 numerical system and independently conceived the concept of zero, centuries before Europe adopted it. For hundreds of years, Mayan civilization flourished in the dense rainforest environment, but prosperity also brought rivalry. City-states competed fiercely for dominance. Alliances shifted, wars erupted. Kings captured rival rulers to sacrifice them in elaborate ceremonies. Warfare was ritualistic yet brutal. Despite internal conflict, Mayan culture thrived artistically. Murals depicted royal ceremonies. Sculptures captured intricate detail. Architecture grew ever more ambitious. At its height, the Mayan population likely reached into the millions. Their cities were vibrant, powerful, and advanced. But even in their golden age, vulnerabilities existed. The jungle environment was fragile. Agriculture depended heavily on seasonal rains. Population growth increased pressure on resources. Political fragmentation meant unity was rare. Still, during the Classic Period, the Maya stood as one of the most sophisticated civilizations on Earth. While Europe struggled through instability after the fall of Rome, the Maya were calculating solar eclipses and constructing monumental cities in the heart of the jungle. Yet beneath the towering pyramids and sacred rituals, tensions were rising. The Golden Age would not last forever. In the next chapter, the Maya will reach their peak and begin their mysterious decline. Chapter 6: The Golden Age and the Beginning of Collapse. At its height, the Mayan world was a constellation of powerful city-states rising above the rainforest canopy, like stone islands in a sea of green. Massive pyramids pierced the sky. Sacred plazas echoed with ceremony. Kings adorned in jade and feathers stood atop temples, performing rituals meant to sustain the cosmos itself. Between 250 and 800 AD, during what historians call the Classic Period, Mayan civilization reached extraordinary heights. Cities like Tikal, Calakmul, Palenque, Copan, and Caracol became centers of political power, artistic achievement, scientific innovation, and religious devotion. Each city-state functioned independently, ruled by a divine king known as a Kuhul Ajah, a holy lord believed to act as an intermediary between the human world and the gods. These rulers did not merely govern, they performed sacred duties that ensured the survival of the universe. Through elaborate ceremonies involving bloodletting rituals, offerings, and sacrifices, kings sought to maintain cosmic balance. The Maya believed time itself was sacred, cyclical, and alive. Their calendar systems, the 260-day Tzolk'in, the 365-day Hab, and the long count calendar, intertwined ritual, agriculture, astronomy, and prophecy. They tracked celestial cycles with astonishing precision. Venus, in particular, held immense importance. Its appearances and disappearances were interpreted as signs of war and divine influence. Observatories built atop pyramids allowed priests to align architecture with solstices and equinoxes. When the sun set on certain days, shadows descended perfectly along temple stairways, reinforcing the connection between heaven and earth. Mathematics supported this cosmic worldview. Using a base 20 system and the concept of zero, the Maya calculated astronomical events centuries in advance. While much of Europe during this period struggled with fragmentation and limited literacy, Mayan scribes were recording dynastic histories in hieroglyphic script, carving detailed inscriptions into stone monuments called stelae. These inscriptions celebrated victories, marriages, alliances, and royal bloodlines stretching back generations. Art flourished. Murals depicted mythological scenes and courtly life. Ceramics were intricately painted with narrative detail. Jade, considered more precious than gold, symbolized life, fertility, and divine authority. Trade networks expanded across Mesoamerica. Obsidian blades from volcanic highlands, cacao beans from tropical lowlands, marine shells from distant coasts, all circulated through complex exchange systems. Cacao was so valued, it functioned as currency and ritual beverage. The ball game, known as Paktapak, was more than sport. Played in massive stone courts, it carried deep religious symbolism. Some matches may have ended in human sacrifice, reinforcing the belief that blood sustained cosmic order. But beneath this brilliance, rivalry simmered. Mayan city-states were fiercely competitive. Alliances shifted constantly. Royal marriages were strategic. Wars erupted frequently. Unlike the vast centralized empires of Rome or China, the Maya never unified under a single ruler. Instead, powerful cities competed for dominance. Tikal and Calakmul, two superpowers of the Classic period, engaged in a centuries-long rivalry. Their conflicts reshaped alliances across the region. Captured kings were humiliated, displayed, and sometimes sacrificed to demonstrate supremacy. Warfare intensified during the late Classic period. Defensive walls appeared around cities that once stood open and confident. Artistic depictions shifted from celebration to conflict. At the same time, population growth placed increasing strain on the environment. The Maya thrived in a fragile rainforest ecosystem. To sustain millions of people, they cleared forests for agriculture. Terraced farming and sophisticated irrigation systems allowed for expansion, but deforestation gradually altered local climates. Soil depletion reduced crop yields. Meanwhile, evidence suggests prolonged droughts struck the region between the 8th and 9th centuries. Without reliable rainfall, maize harvests failed, water reservoirs dried, famine loomed, political instability intensified. As food shortages spread, loyalty to divine kings weakened. If rulers claimed to communicate with gods, why were the gods withholding rain? the sacred legitimacy of kings began to erode. City after city showed signs of decline. Monument construction slowed. Inscriptions became rare. Elite palaces were abandoned. Trade networks fractured. Violence increased. Between roughly 800 and 900 AD, many major southern lowland cities were gradually deserted. Tikal, once home to tens of thousands, fell silent. Palenque's temples stood empty. Copan's monuments ceased. It was not a single catastrophic invasion. It was not one decisive battle. It was a slow unraveling, political fragmentation, environmental stress, warfare, famine, and shifting power structures all converging. The jungle began reclaiming the stone cities. Vines crept over staircases. Roots cracked limestone blocks. Nature swallowed what human ambition had built. Yet this was not the total extinction of the Maya. While many southern cities collapsed, northern regions like Chichén Itzá rose in prominence. Power shifted rather than disappeared entirely. The classic Maya civilization declined, but the people endured. The golden age had faded and the balance of power was changing. In the next chapter, we will explore the final transformations of the Mayan world, the arrival of foreign powers, the resilience of Mayan culture, and the enduring legacy of one of history's most mysterious civilizations. Chapter 3. Collapse, Conquest, and Legacy. The great cities of the southern lowlands did not fall in a single night. There was no final explosion. No single conquering army, no dramatic last stand atop the pyramids. Instead, there was silence. One by one, the plazas emptied. The temples stopped receiving offerings. Royal inscriptions ceased. The carved stone monuments that once recorded glorious victories were no longer raised. The sacred calendar continued, but the hands that once interpreted it disappeared from the great ceremonial centers. Between 800 and 900 AD, many of the most powerful classic Maya cities were gradually abandoned. Tikal, Palenque, Copan, Calakmul. They were not destroyed in fire. They were left behind. The jungle reclaimed them. Trees pushed through palace courtyards. Vines wrapped around staircases. Rain eroded inscriptions that once declared divine authority. For centuries, these cities remained hidden beneath layers of green silence. But the Maya people did not vanish. This is one of the greatest misconceptions in history. The classic political system collapsed, but the civilization endured. As southern cities declined, northern centers rose. Chichén Itzá emerged as a new powerhouse. Its pyramid, El Castillo, stood aligned with astronomical precision. During the equinox, a serpent-shaped shadow descended its staircase, a stunning architectural representation of the feathered serpent deity, Kukulkan. The post-classic period saw shifts in power structures. Trade routes expanded toward coastal regions. Maritime commerce grew. New alliances formed, but the golden age of monumental stelae and divine kingship had ended. Political systems became more militarized. Fortifications appeared more frequently. Warfare continued, but the scale had changed. Then, in the 16th century, another force arrived from across the ocean. In 1517, Spanish explorers reached the Yucatan Peninsula. At first, they encountered thriving Maya communities. These were not lost ruins. They were living cities, active marketplaces, functioning societies. But Europe carried more than ambition. It carried disease. Smallpox, measles, influenza, illnesses unknown to the Americas, spread rapidly through indigenous populations. Entire communities were devastated before they could even understand what was happening. Spanish conquistadors, driven by gold, conversion, and conquest, gradually imposed control over Maya territories. Unlike the rapid fall of the Aztec Empire, the conquest of the Maya was slow and fragmented. Many city-states resisted fiercely. Some fought for decades. Some retreated into dense jungle regions. Some adapted and negotiated. The final independent Maya stronghold, the city of Neuquén, fell in 1697, nearly 180 years after the Spanish first arrived. But even conquest did not erase the Maya. Missionaries destroyed countless Maya codices, sacred books containing astronomical data, historical records, and religious knowledge. Of hundreds, only 4 authentic codices survive today. An immense intellectual heritage was lost in flames, and yet the culture endured. Today, millions of Maya descendants still live across Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. They speak Mayan languages, they preserve traditions, they maintain agricultural practices rooted in ancient knowledge. The civilization did not disappear, it transformed. Modern archaeology has uncovered what the jungle once hid. Using satellite imaging and LiDAR technology, researchers have revealed thousands of previously unknown structures beneath dense rainforest. Entire networks of roads, terraces, reservoirs, and defensive systems are being mapped. What once seemed like isolated city-states are now understood as parts of vast, interconnected urban landscapes. The Maya were far more advanced than early historians believed. They engineered complex water management systems. They developed precise astronomical models. They mastered mathematics independently. They built cities in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Their collapse was not primitive failure. It was a convergence of climate change, political fragmentation, environmental strain, warfare, and systemic instability. It was complex and deeply human. The story of the Maya is not one of sudden disappearance. It is a story of adaptation, of resilience, of transformation, from sacred pyramids rising above jungle canopies, to hidden ruins swallowed by time, to rediscovered cities reshaping modern understanding. The Maya challenge how we think about civilization itself. They remind us that greatness does not guarantee permanence, that knowledge can be lost and found again, that cultures evolve rather than vanish, and that history, like the Mayan calendar, moves in cycles. Empires rise, empires fracture, but people endure. The jungle may have reclaimed the temples, but it never erased the Maya. And today, as we rebuild their story, brick by brick, their legacy rises once more.